Hello, my name is Pierre Sabak. My website is pierresabak.com. That is spelt S-A-B-A-K, pierresabak.com. And I am the author of The Murder of Reality, Hidden Symbolism of the Dragon. I wrote this lecture specifically to promote the I.C.A.N organisation. That is I.C.A.N planet.com. icanplanet.com. This lecture is called The Council of Man and examines the ancient secret gnostic teachings found within the mysteries. Today's lecture I want to focus on three main areas. First of all, I want to look at the symbol and its deployment within the inner and outer mysteries. Second, I wish to look at the secret societies of man, the Brotherhood, originally a human or non-angelic fraternity, and its relationship to geometry and maths. Number 3, the return of the authentic human being represented as the Republic. To begin with, first of all, I'm going to look at symbolism. There are, of course, many different types of symbols. For example, astrological, geometria, numerological, sacred geometry, etymological and word association, referred to also as paranamasic symbolism. It is useful here to define what a symbol is for the audience. I will use the Oxford English definition. A symbol, a thing conventionally regarded as typifying, representing or recalling something, especially an idea or quality. White is a symbol of purity. Number 2, the second definition is as follows. A mark or character taken as the conventional sign of some object, idea, function or process. For example, the letters standing for the chemical elements or the characters in musical notation. In contrast, this is my definition of a symbol quoted from my book, The Murder of Reality, Hidden Symbolism of the Dragon. A symbol, a notational motif used to denote a symbolic equivalent, particularly through the mode of homonyms or paranamasic language. This is wordplay. I give the following examples. The Semitic noun havla, a circle, is a play on hafa, a viper, and efer, a wing. Thus the solar disk is represented as conjoined with the winged serpent. The purpose and application of a sign or synonym is to substitute the object with a symbolic counterpart. Adoption and use of the symbol is universal to all cultures and are primarily devices of subterfuge. By this I mean they are used as tools of deception. Before we move on to the symbol and its use, we have to understand homonyms. These are words having the same spelling or pronunciation, but different meanings. For example, the word altar, a sacrificial table, is a cognate of the verb alter, to change. Idiomatically, the altar is a vehicle of transfiguration. The use of homonyms in the scriptural tradition is well documented. For example, in Arabic, the literary tradition of using homonyms is referred to as wuju al-Quran. The Arabic word wuju al-Quran signifies a homonym, literally the forgotten recitation or the forgotten Quran. Wuju as the appended meaning, directions or faces, e.g. a facet. The Quran thus is an esoteric document. It is written in layered language and is a book of initiation. Wuju al-Quran expresses the secret or occult traditions of the Quran. Fallen, the serpent is evidence of its existence in the Bible and Quran, using polymorphic language. Evidence of this type of language is also found within the Torah. In Genesis chapter 9, following the flooding of the earth, the scribe uses the symbol of the rainbow to describe God's new covenant with Noah. So, In the example, we have keshet, a rainbow, which is a homonym of keshet, a bow of war. The term keshet is used as a religious marker in which God promises not to destroy the earth again. The symbol of this covenant is a rainbow. In other words, God has set aside his bow of war. In the Jerusalem Bible, chapter 9, the chapter is headed as the New World Order, suggesting a catalysm linked to the development of the New World. This is the world we are currently living in. To emphasize, a symbol is a homonym and works on association and wordplay. These same puns are often encoded into numerous languages. So, let's have a look at some specific examples. In Hebrew, the wordplay boker, morning, is punned with boker, weep, and bekore, firstborn. The same wordplay is replicated also into English. Morning, denoting the beginning of the day, is punned with morning, the homonym, the expression of sorrow. As an extension of this idea, we can also see the relationship between the sun. In other words, the rising sun is polymorphic of son, a male offspring, referenced in the Hebrew word bekore, firstborn. Likewise in Greek, phos is a homonym of man or fire. Thus man is often drawn as phosphorus, the morning star, represented as a pentagram or a five-pointed star. As intimated in the Hebrew and English, the symbol of the star is connected to the sacrifice of the firstborn, symbolized as the rising sun or the rising star Sirius. The same type of encryption is found also in the Chinese language. The radical used to write man, when accentuated with two dots, signifies fire. If a line is drawn across the man character, the pictogram signifies the adjective big, and is drawn as a stylized star, in other words, a pentagram. The point shows how wordplays often cross-translate into numerous languages, suggesting a universal code recorded through etymology, defined as the study of words, from the Greek root etymos, true. The science of language appertains to the humanities, particularly the study of religion, philosophy, history, and mythology. We see here that there is a separation between the inner and outer mysteries. The mysteries, as demonstrated, were conveyed in myth and parable using double talk, Arabic wuju al-Quran, a homonym which we mentioned earlier. Jesus himself makes allusion to the inner and outer mysteries. To quote Matthew 13:11, the disciples came to him and asked, "Why do you speak to the people in parables?" He replied, "The knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not them. Though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand." In this quotation, Jesus is making reference to the esoteric tradition found encoded in the religious scriptures, employed also within the secret societies. Today, I'm going to argue that there are two types of secret societies. The first of all, or the first of the two, I shall call Alpha, Latin first, and is possibly the oldest order. For the most part, however, Alpha has been infiltrated by society number 2, which we shall call Omega, last or end. So, to define the two types of secret societies, the Alpha Society is the Republic represented as man or the Brotherhood. Note, this is the original fraternity, not to be confused with the Illuminati. I use the Greek word alpha first, relative in the Hebrew to aleph, as it is a word play on the Latin feminine noun alapa, an emancipation of a slave. Unfortunately, today, the name Alpha Lodge has a negative connotation and is used as a major institution of Satanism. Its original goal, however, was the liberation of man. Number 2, the Omega Society. This is monarchical or angelic and is personified as the dragon or Freemasonry. The word Omega is from the Greek root omega, the great O, an emblem equated with the seraph, dragon or fallen angel. Secret societies. Mutually antagonistic, both orders were a source of secret knowledge. The fraternity or the society of man sought secretly to overthrow the monarchical despots. 1500 years after Plato, we still have a monarchy, which is the antithesis of a democracy. The Brotherhood of the Dragon is still governed by usury, the action or practice of lending money with interest. Sections of the Islamic order were set up to combat the malevolent influence of the jinn on human societies. Here I am talking hypothetically, as these societies are so secret they don't officially exist, but evidence of their existence and their philosophical workings are found in the historical record. This record is known amongst the adepts as the secret doctrine, and is equated with the teachings of the occult, something which is concealed. As I mentioned earlier, the secret societies of men were infiltrated by the lackeys of the snake, a fallen angel, otherwise referred to in Arabic literature as the jinn. Perhaps it is worth mentioning here that the jinn are typically represented in Arabian custom as a different class of entity distinct from the fallen angels. There is, however, a good argument to suggest that they are one and the same type of being. For example, both are often represented as appearing human and can change their form into a serpent. In addition, Quranic traditions refer to Iblis, Satan, as an angel and also as a jinn. Semantics apart, these beings exist and are interdimensional. The colloquial word for a ghost is used in the Syrian language and earlier in the Aramaic is jinn. The interface between the dragon, a fallen angel, and human society is the monarch, a bloodline considered as human angelic, Greek hemitheoi. So we're going to have a look at sacred knowledge. In my previous talks, I have highlighted the knowledge of the snake and have argued it is the architect of language which binds man to this reality or plane of existence. Here I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about a stream of knowledge which is attributed to man in the form of mathematics. The Greeks worked out through sacred geometry and the studies of fractals that the universe is holographic or self-repeating. The realization of this suggests that they understood the universe to be an illusion. Their word for this persistent illusion is dokos, a veil or deception. Dokos conceptually is very similar to the Sanskrit term maya, illusion, from the stem ma, to create. The Oxford English Dictionary defines maya as follows. Number 1. The supernatural power wielded by God and demons. This is a Hindu term. Number 2. The power by which the universe becomes manifest. The illusion or appearance of the phenomenal world. This is both a Hindu term and a Buddhist term. The concept of maya is intrinsic to understanding gnostic and hermetic thinking, in which the physical universe is an illusion or hologram. Returning back to our original premise, aspects of maya, known in the Greek as dokos, are encoded in mathematics. This knowledge is zealously guarded or in the possession of man, e.g., the source of information is non-angelic. It actually comes from a much purer source, from the mind of God himself. Symbolically, the angel, represented as a snake or a talker, is linked to the manipulation of language, thoughts and ideas, a concept encrypted in the religious scriptures. Theologically, the word is represented as a counterfeit of reality. and like the corporal body is subject to corruption. Expressed in another way, the Word of God or the sacred scriptures are antithetical or paradoxical to the ineffable nature of God. Put simply, that which can be defined through words is finite and is subject to limitation, whereas the divine is supreme and infinite. Intuitively, Gnostics have realized that the sublime nature of God can only be experienced and not expressed. However, one can allude to it, for example, through symbols. In the Greek and Semitic mystery schools, the spoken word is dualled with mathematics, the essence or distillation of God. Numbers are considered as a superior mode of communication, judged by the Greeks as the unadulterated language of God. In the ancient world, every word or symbol was assigned a numerical equivalent or value. For example, in the Hebrew word sifra, a numeral, is related etymologically to sefer, a book, in which we get the word cipher in English. Also, we can see that there's a relationship between Safa language and seraph, a snake. Put in another way, all words, symbols and letters have an algebraic or numerical equivalent recorded as a type of cipher or language correlated with the serpent. In addition, aspects of this sacred gnosis were attributed solely to humans and did not originate from the angelic order but from the mind of God. Remember that the Gnostics believed that the divine spark of divinity resided inside of each human. In God's hierarchy, man is considered to be the ultimate creation of God, even above the angels. The Greeks held that through a process of amnesia, Greek amnesias, literally the loss of forgetfulness, it was possible to comprehend the true mind of God. A person who underwent this transformation is truly capable of reflecting the divine mind behind the universe. The genuine human being is a mirror of God, a microcosm of God's kingdom. In fact, the Renaissance philosopher Giordano Bruno himself stated so, and also hypothesized an infinite universe in which multiple worlds existed. Bruno expounded this view in his treatise of 1584, entitled On the Infinite Universe and the Worlds, to quote, "In space there are an infinity of worlds of the same kind as our own." The concept of a multiple or holographic universe has been with us for a long time. And does it not also state in the Quran that God is the creator of the worlds? Bruno was executed in 1600 as a heretic by the Roman Inquisition. The point is that until now this secret doctrine has been suppressed. It can be argued that the most important canon of knowledge held by humanity and the secret societies was sacred geometry. This included advanced mathematics such as infinite figures. Sacred geometry proved the existence of God through numbers, more specifically, the relationship between the sacred mind of God dualled with matter embodied as the empirical world. The manifestation of God's immutable laws are recorded in creation and are evident in the science of astrology and divination. An ancient belief far older than the oldest records. The best place to pick up some of these ancient themes are Greece, in particular Euclid. So here I'm going to give a brief historical background to Euclid. Euclid was a Greek mathematician born in 300 BC, famous for his treatise The Elements of Geometry, and remained as the standard work on mathematics until the 19th century. The secret traditions of Euclid. Euclid's name is from the Greek word Euclides, good glory. Clandestine, his epithet, is appropriated from the Arabic verb Euclid to ape, cognizant with the Arabic noun kurd and ape. Thus, mathematics apes or copies the real world. King Ptolemy once asked Euclid if there was a shorter path to learning geometry than his elements. The mathematician replied, "There is no royal road to geometry." Euclid's retort emphasized an ancient belief that geometry disclosed a branch of science developed by humans represented esoterically as an ape. The matter alluding to Euclid's instruction also appears in the Middle Ages, in which a curious theory arose, which I will now present to you. In this model of the universe, the evil one, Satan, is described as the ape of God. It was believed he created spurious imitations of creation, and then interpolated them with the authentic creation. Again, this suggests the holographic universe represented as the fake or counterfeit reality, an idea propagated in Hermetic and Gnostic literature. Religiously, the ape of Satan is matched in Greek with Semele, the goddess of the moon, and Simia, an ape, probably the same deity as Thoth, represented by the baboon, an Egyptian god of knowledge, and by deduction the same deity as Satan, referred to as the ape of God, an epithet alluding to the fall of humanity. The guardians of Euclid's knowledge were the Stoics, Greek stoikos, an etymology derived from stoichion, step, component, part, English an element, e.g. Euclid's elements. Traditionally, Zeno founded the Stoikos or Stoics, originally in 300 BC, the same year as Euclid's birth. A school of learners, the Stoics are the original keepers of geometry and its wisdom. The term geometry is a composite of ge, earth, and metros, measurer, suggesting the Mediterranean nations had measured the circumference of the earth. Euclid's famous retort to Ptolemy, "There is no royal road to geometry," suggests a profound source of knowledge outside of the royal courts. Esoteric. Euclid's use of the words Rhodes in the English translation is used to denote the Greek island Rhodes. Substantiated historically, the nation of Rhodes possessed the earliest system of maritime law compiled by the Rhodesians about 900 BC. In addition, Rhodos, Rhodes, informs many of the European etymologies appertaining to roads, Anglo-Saxon rad, a journey on horseback, and ridden, to ride. We can also see reference to roads in common English expressions, such as all roads lead to Rome or all roads lead to Mecca. The expression all roads lead to Rome is a paradox, and in this context refers to the island Rhodes, the central hub of where this knowledge originated from. Anachronistic, it seems likely there are additional wordplays to Euclid's little riddle. Odromos, the Greek word for road, is translated into Arabic as Tariq, way or road, plural Turuk, a signifier of Tariq history, denoting Turkey and its satellite Rhodes. A great seafaring nation, ancestral to the Greeks and Phoenicians, the Turks possessed a lost remnant of Hellenistic culture, and are known historically as the circumnavigators of the world. The archaeological record suggests a close relationship between the Greek, Hittite, and Phoenician culture, extending into Germany and Russia. Euclid's dictum recalls a time when men held their own council before the intervention of the gods. Philosophically, the Greeks favoured democracy as opposed to monarchical rule, and developed secret schools of learning called brotherhoods, believed to be human in origin. This golden age of reason came to an abrupt end with the War of the Titans, known also as Atlantis, and the loss of human sovereignty, the end of the Republic. Machiavelli. This tension between the monarchical bloodline and the Republic is remarked upon by the Renaissance scholar Niccolo Machiavelli in his treatise The Prince, the Art of Power, 1513, a manual outlining the basic precepts of monarchical rule, covering the agenda and goals of the Illuminati. He wrote the following about the Republic. When cities or countries are accustomed to live under a prince and his family is exterminated, they do not know how to govern themselves. For this reason, they are very slow to take up arms, and a prince can gain them to himself and secure them much more easily. But in republics there is more vitality, greater hatred, and more desire for vengeance, which will never let their former liberty to rest, so that the safest way is to destroy them or to reside there. This description, in many respects, is the history of the American civil conflict, the French Revolution, and the European Union. The war for the Republic has never ended. President Kennedy's speech to the American Newspaper Publishers Association on the 27th of April 1961 summed up the situation as follows. We are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. A reference to communism, the subtext is all about America as a free republic, lofty ideals. His speech is as relevant now as when he first uttered those words in 1961. So where are we now? The major divider between humanity has been secret societies that have infiltrated governments. Their modus operandi is chaos out of order, a pattern that can be discerned as follows. In human history, there have been three types of warfare defined as follows. Number 1, hot wars, direct military conflict. Number 2, cold wars, the psychological control of the mind. Number 3, silent wars, genetic foods, plagues, economic collapses, and unrelated natural phenomena such as earthquakes and tsunamis. The next world war will not be between countries, but will instead be instigated against the human being. Phase 3 of this agenda has already begun, the silent war. Its machinations are insidious and are stealthily being perpetrated against us. Make no mistake about it, there may not be any bombs in your neighbourhood, but currently we are living in a war zone. Man is an endangered species, and we are being systematically targeted. Symbolically, man is the Republic. The war, then, is on the individual, on freedom and choice. So how close are we to the Republic? All the indications show that we are perhaps closer to the Republic than what our leaders would like us to believe. So, are our liberal governments democratic? This is where people often confuse the words democracy with legitimacy. A government can be democratic and yet possess no political legitimacy. Conversely, a state can be anti-democratic and endowed with a high degree of legitimacy amongst its citizens. An enlightened executive, however, is one that is both democratic and legitimate. Its institutions should be just and based on merit, reflecting the diverse interests of the collective and its various substrata. To achieve these noble objectives require a highly educated and informed population. Ideally, the government should be decentralized and non-hierarchical. The last point brings us on to the financial system. The economic system is not our enemy, it is the people who seek to wield the global economy, to devalue the human being, which are the real opponents of civilization and progress. The question then is not how to replace capitalism, but rather how do we rid ourselves of debt. It is this question which fundamentally resides at the heart of the conspiracy. The system itself is not broken, rather it is how the system is being used which is faulty. I would go even one step further. It is not a crime to be wealthy. In fact, the universe wishes for man to be affluent. Mother Nature has given us everything. Does not a mother provide for her child? We have the unlimited capacity for wealth. Why are there not more rich people in the world? In addition, we need to dismantle free trade. How can trade be free? It is a contradiction in terms. Why is it that the common good favours only a select minority? Instead, let's replace the common good with common sense. We don't need to change the economic system, only the manipulators of the control structure. It is that force which must be challenged. As it stands, the economic system is capable of feeding the world several times over and restoring the balance of nature. To reiterate, we are indebted to ourselves, not to the system, for it is the system which is indebted to us. So what is the solution which can be gleaned from our ruminations? I have listed a few pointers which I feel are important. Politics should not be separated from the spiritual, but rather guided by principles of altruism. The new type of nationalism will be humanitarianism. When we institutionalize our children, we institutionalize ourselves. I think here I need to emphasize the need to be vigilant. People are beginning to see through the Illuminati in their lies. Don't be surprised if factions of the elite begin to rebel against the status quo, the New World Order and the monetary system, etc. Our masters will offer us free energy and cancel the debt of the world. Not since the days of the French Revolution and Cromwell, a royal bloodline, have we seen such a ruse on human liberty. Take my word for it, the powers that are planning on destroying the New World Order are intent on building a bigger and better vision of itself under the false flag of utopia. Be warned of false prophets. As Martin Luther King once said, true peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. The education system, the media and the alternative media have all been compromised. Believe no one. Instead, start looking towards yourself for the answers. You are the Republic. The judgment of hell is not what people think it is. Fundamentally, it is much more. It is the damnation of the whole universe. I think Philip K. Dick, the science fiction author, in his essay dated 1972, The Android and the Human, summed up what must be done to destroy the control structure, the imprisoned mind. My full measure of devotion, in this war we are fighting to maintain and augment what is human about us. What is the core of ourselves and the source of our destiny? Our flight must not only be to the stars, but into the nature of our beings. Because it is not merely where we go, to Alpha Centauri or Betelgeuse, but what we are as we make our pilgrimages there. Our natures will be going there too, ad astra per hominem, to the stars but as men, and we must never lose sight of that. So it seems a part of the solution is to remember that man is divine. This, I believe, is what constitutes the authentic man. Our sentient beings are a reflection of God, and are obscured by amnesia. Lifting this veil of forgetfulness is part of the process of remembering who we are, so one day we may return to the stars and be reunited. The change, therefore, must begin with oneself. Master your soul and govern yourself. When this happens, the authentic human being can arise, which is the kingdom of God, the Republic, manifested on earth, right here, right now, at this single moment, the return of the Messiah in us all. And with this in mind, I would like to finish this talk with what Bruno had to say about the kingdom of God and the coming of the Messiah. I pray you, magnificent sir, do not trouble yourself to return to us, but await our coming to you. Thank you.